Neang Kang Rei Mountain is located at Trebek Village, Tringyol Commune, Kampong Ling District, Kampong Shnang Province. There is a mountain higher than any others nearby. If we look from the distance, this mountain looks like a woman lying. Like other mountains in the neighborhood, there are many small and big trees growing on it, but it is strange on the side of the mountain, there are many moms, aromatic herbs. The people nearby do not eat moms there because it is believed that this mountain is made up of the dead body of Neang Kang Rei, a female giant who was Puisan's wife. And they have regarded moms in that place as vulva hair of Neang Kang Rei. In addition, along the foot of the mountain, there is a stone mortar and a stone pestle. Since the ancient time, it is not known who made them. It is believed that anyone who gets there must take the pestle to pound onto the mortar so that they do not get sick because of the environment and are in good health and happiness. This is the general belief of the residents living there since ancient times. The story of Neang Kang Rei is summarized as following: once upon a time, there was a millionaire couple. They did not has in any children. They went to pray under a cray tree, ficus rumumhi for children. Later they had 12 daughters. After having those children, the couple became gradually poor until their all property was sold, so they could not find food for their children. Thus, they decided to drive an ox cart in order to take their 12 children to banish in a dense forest, hoping that they were lucky to meet the rich people and able to look after them in the future. The millionaire's wife, who saw her youngest child so small that she felt very pitiful, but because she did not want to separate her from her elder sisters, she decided to leave her to stay with her sisters. After being banished by their parents, the 12 girls had nothing to eat. Some caught fishes, crabs, or snails, and the others picked up fruits for meal. They wandered in the forest day after day. Finally they reached an empire, the kingdom of female giant Xanthemia. The giant had a daughter named Neang Kang Rei. When seeing the 12 girls, Xanthemia magically turned herself to be a plain woman and took those girls into her castle to serve her daughter Neang Kang Rei. Long time later, they realized that it was the kingdom of giants. The 12 girls fled away from that kingdom, and then they met a king named Prabhat Radhaseth. Since the 12 girls looked beautiful, the king proposed them to be his wives. At the same time, Neang Xanthemia magically turned herself to be a pretty girl to gently coax the king until she became the first one of his wives. One day Xanthemia pretended to be seriously ill. She incited the doctors to tell the king to put out the eyes of the 12 girls for her medicine. And then they took the 12 girls, who were all pregnant, to live in a cave without one tea giving any food. She took their eyes among the 12 girls. The 11 elder sisters' eyes were put out on both sides, while Neang Pav's eyes were put out on only one side, because in her past life she only put out one of the fish's eyes, too. The fortunate person came to be reborn during Neang Pav's pregnancy. As soon as her 11 elder sisters delivered the babies, delivered the obvious, they lacerated their children for food. But Neang Pav, after having a Hawaii, named her child Puisan and hid him away from her sisters. 7 years later, Puisan, the character of the fortunate person, grew up more handsomely and more intelligently than other kids. One day Puisan questioned his mother about the reason they came to live in that cave. Having heard her child ask about it, Neang Pav felt pity for him and she immediately told him about what had happened. Puisan was so full of sorrow that his tears dropped down by itself. Afterward, Puisan asked his mother for permission to come out of the cave in order to get to know other people outside the cave and also to look for his father. At that time, Pra-en, the king of paradise, gave him a magic cock. Soon, he came out of the cave and met a group of kids. They made a bet on cockfighting. They said that if Puisan lost the bet, the kids could ask Puisan to serve them whatever they wanted, but, if Puisan won the bet, he needed only 12 packets of rice from the kids. Finally, Puisan was the winner and he got 12 packets of rice. He soon went to his mother Neang Pav and gave her the 12 packets. Getting the packets from her son, Neang Pav gave them to her elder sisters, 1 packet for each. The 11 elder sisters accepted the rice with wonder. "Where can Pav get this rice?" asked one of Neang Pav's 11 sisters. "We've had no rice to eat for long." Neang Pav then told them about the time she hid her son away from his birth until his grow up. Then, Puisan always came out to make a bet with the Sin's people Bida on various things and got 12 packets of rice for his her every day. Many years later, his fame was known to the king. Wanting to know Poison's ability, the king asked a royal servant to invite him to the palace. "I don't know any rules in the Royal Palace, so your majesty, please apologize to me," said Poison to the king when he met him. Having heard Poison's words, the king was so pleased that he started to have a bet on chess with Poison. Finally, Poison won the bet with the king. "Track him secretly, and find out who are his parents," whispered the king to his favorite royal servant, after getting food prepared for Poison. 12 packets of ice. Poison said goodbye to the king. Distance. Poison asked for the packets of rice and left the servant after he got Tui, the favorite servant of the king, helped Poison carry the and left 12 packets and walked behind him. When arriving at half the Nuda. But, the servant continued walking behind him for ton till he saw the 12 women. He came back to the palace secretly, said to the king what he had seen. Next day the king ordered the about his parents. "Your Majesty, I am the son of Neenpav, who told Orvant to invite Poison to the palace again and asked Poiser Ervant to invite Pued to be in high status," Poison told the king, "but now a misfortune forced her to stay in a deep cave." After listening to what Poison told, the king was in great suffering, and then he quickly put his hands warmly around Poison. "My vertical bar son. I am your father," said the king. "I have never thought that you are my son so far. I am very old now and I am really happy to meet you, son." Giant was furious and felt absolute hatred towards Poison, but soon this information was leaked to Neang Santhimia, the female owl son. Years later, Poison became matured. In attempt to kill her temper and pretended to love Poison, Santhimia ordered him to ride a horse to bring a letter to Guld to control her daughter Neang Kang Rei. The letter read, "If Poison arrives at her the night time, eat him at night; if he arrives in the daytime, eat him in day." At first, Poison hesitated to go because no one looked after his mother and aunts. But, since his tether claimed that he would take care of them, he decided to go, riding a finest horse, named Monikeo, which could speak human language and could fly. Luckily, when Poison arrived in the middle of the forest, he was very tired, so he had a rest in the forest. The hermit saw Poison sleeping and read a letter tied up to the horse's neck. He tore up that letter and wrote another new one. The letter read, "If Poison arrives in the daytime, marry him in the day; if he arrives at the night time, marry him at the night." As soon as Poison arrived at the giant kingdom, he gave the letter to Neang Kang Rei. After reading the letter, she immediately married Poison. Poison became the king in Santhimia's kingdom. Neang Kang Rei dearly loved and completely trusted her husband. She took him for a walk everywhere and told him about the eyes of the 12 girls and medicine to cure their eyes. She also told him about the magical medicine that could make water or mountains when it was thrown out. When he saw a good chance, Poison stole the medicines and the eyes, and immediately left Neang Kang Rei at midnight 8 to cure his mother and aunts at his kingdom. Neang Kang Rei got up just in time and ran after her husband, profoundly shocked. Poison saw Neang Kang Rei running quickly and calling him. He threw the magic medicine to make a river in order to stop her. Neang Kang Rei wept with such great sorrow that her body became so weak and died in the middle of the forest. Poison arrived home safely. He cured the eyes of his mother and his aunts till they recovered. He killed the giant Santhimia and became the king of that kingdom. He lived happily until the end of his life. The end. Love does not only bring us together, but also makes us live apart.